Welcome to the Beautiful Game. As always, I am Ferris. God bless. Has it been 4 weeks since we've done this? Let me try that again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Beautiful Game. As always, I am Blake, here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
Ron goes to Japan. We take a few weeks off. Everything's crazy. It's mass hysteria, raining cats and dogs. All right. Now we're back on track. If we ever were on one, it's more like not building the railroad track in front of you as you're driving, but laying the track behind you so that when you come back around, you have one. Right. There we go. Well, as I said, family, life, work, Japan, parades, new theme park offerings, jobs. They all kept us all busy over the past few weeks, but it is great to be back. A few things.
In the summer of soccer.
Yeah, it's been a summer of soccer, and we have a few things to chat about on tonight's episode of The Beautiful Game. The Euros final is now set. Time flies. We'll be discussing the latest semifinal matches, give our thoughts on the tournament thus far, hear how much Ferris is loving Bukayo Saka's playing so far. Ferris has become a fan. It's wild. Heard him call him Starboy the other day. And then, of course, we're going to preview the final between Spain and England. England, said with accent.
England.
I like that you put that in the stage directions. England, coming up this Sunday afternoon. Sunday. And stateside, here we've got the Copa America still happening. U.S. crashed out. We'll get to that. We'll discuss. And Berhalter, little breaking news as we record on... July 10th at 10:30 or 9:30 in the evening. We got a little news a little while ago.
News coming in on the newsroom today.
I don't think
Stay tuned.
We'll get to it. I was going to say I don't think it's a shock, but it kind of was still.
It's a shock for a different reason.
Yes, absolutely. Not a shock due to results, but a shock for just dumbness. There are other teams, of course, such as the American leading Canada to the semis. Uruguay's rugged Bielsa play. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Colombia's goal scoring, Messi's Argentina, and we will discuss and maybe preview perhaps another final. And then we're going to blow the halftime whistle as this is a good one. As big boy of the Bay and the semi-surprise stallion of the storm, Ferris shares with us some brewery news coming out of his hometown of Pinellas, Florida, where a former, maybe he doesn't really know. What does that mean, Ferris?
Keep reading. Keep reading.
Okay.
It's in there.
All right. It's in there. Okay. All right. Ferris wrote this to be spoken, not read. Here we go. Ferris is going to share with us some brewery news coming out of the hometown of Pinellas, Florida, where a former, maybe, he doesn't really know, employer is in some hot financial waters in this new segment of Ferris ferrets out and Fair investigates. Fair investigates.
Well, listen, it's not my most I don't know.
Look,
best right up there, but it was 9:30 at night. I was watching Canada lose to Argentina. I had just eaten. I was full. I was having a drink. I was just come on, let's just move on.
Look, it's hard to live up. The problem is you peaked so hard about 3 Christmases ago when you did the Christmas carols for each headline of the
that was
Premier League. That's
one of my finer moments on the
that
pod.
Was chef's kiss. But then Ferris, coming from his own beer news, is going to pass it off to the true blue wizard of the brews, Ron, for some more beer news. And then finally, we're going to end the second half of the pod and stay stateside in this edition of La Liga's Roundup. I like that you did it with your mouth first.
I was excited to reach out for it. I haven't had to do that for a long time.
And we're going to talk about the NWSL, MLS, and both Olympic U.S. squads being named. Man, some changing of the guard, too. But first, our beer. I believe I am up first. Ron, you was prior to the pod. You told me you guys had something special planned for the beer, and that's delicious and great. But it's my job to still make you just a little bit jealous. As I believe was last pod. Did I do Allagash White? Went a little old school.
Yeah, that one or the one before.
Yeah, very recently. Remember. Well, I have gone back up to Maine to go back to Allagash.
You jerk.
For a little Kiro, the barrel-aged golden ale We age our triple, a Belgian-style golden ale in bourbon barrels for approximately 7 weeks. After that time is up, we blend the barrel-aged beer with a portion of fresh triple to layer the beer with its signature notes of vanilla, caramel, oak, and hint of bourbon. First brewed in 2004, the Curieux, I can't speak French, but Curieux remains our most popular barrel-aged beer. That is Curieux, or Curo. 10.2% ABV. Grains are Allagash 2-row malted barley blend. Local pale malt. Hops are Nugget Hallertau. Aged in bourbon barrels for 7 weeks. House yeast. Ideal within 18 months. And the suggested size is in my little chalice. Going fancy tonight.
Sounds delicious.
Kinky's up.
Yeah, I have not had a triple. Well, I've had a Allagash triple like fairly recently, but this is new to me. Their bourbon and barrel aged one.
Oh, that sounds so good. Every beer they make. It's rare that I like every beer from a brewery, and that one's
everything's
quite
good. I may have found officially my beer store. It's about 20 minutes away in this little town near a Swiss Alp themed mini golf. That's supposed to be the best mini golf in Connecticut.
Awesome.
So I took my daughter there. You walk in, it's very funny. They're like, "Welcome back to America" when you finish your round of golf. But there was a beer store I went to, and their selection of Allagash was awesome. So I'll be back.
Real nice.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, my wife went to Mexico to do some buy off on a vendor and that kind of stuff. But while she was there, she did go to the craft beer store and pull some Mexican craft beers for us. And gentlemen, I don't know a brewery with as cool of a history that we have ever had on the pod.
That says
Cerveza Charo. Not churro, not the, pastry dessert thing.
Did you get at most theme parks?
Right. Charo. In 1864, the former Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian of Habsburg sailed into the port of Veracruz, and after a long and arduous journey by boat, he arrived to find there was no beer in Mexico, leading him to bring the finest masters of brew from Europe to Mexico to start producing beer. Shortly after brewing began in earnest in Mexico, bandits began holding up the carriages transporting the beer. So the former Holy Roman Emperor decided to take action, hiring Mexican horsemen, or charros, to protect the carriages that transported his beer and appointing them as the royal protectors of beer. This is how the brewery got its name, Cerveza Charo.
That's cool.
Can I just say, I was like, Maximilian the First. I don't know much about that Habsburgian guy. Does he have the Habsburg chin? If you're a history nerd, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yep.
His story popped up, the Austrian Archduke who regretted trying to conquer Mexico. What a great headline tag for this dude when you look him up.
But he's responsible for Mexican beer.
I'll be darned.
Well,
And
good on you, you weird Habsburgian.
I mean, come on, that's some pretty good history for a brewery.
That's rad.
So we are having the Charo Pilsner, which is 4.5 ABV. If you're following the whole thing at home, and it looks absolutely incredible. The color, if you follow the SRM, 3.5, and the IBUs, 25. Elegant and outspoken, refreshing, and full of character, it is full of bright golden hues with notes of cereal, honey, and a final floral finish. Perfect pairings are...
This is interesting.
Iberian cured ham, bluefin tuna.
Is it? Hold on. Is that acorn?
Oh yeah, acorn fed Iberian ham. I mean, is there a different kind of?
No, that's
Iberian
a
ham?
very valid point.
And then prime cuts of beef, Wagyu, and Kobe. ribeyes.
Bluefin tuna night? Is that what it says?
Nigiri.
Nigiri ceviche. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah.
So we're more
premium malted lager.
pinkies up over here. With
I know.
Tuna night ceviche.
So here you go. Pour yourself a
Oh,
little helping.
thank you.
All right.
We're gonna do a little taster because we might have another Mexican brew.
Oh man.
I can't tell how much I did. Hopefully, I left you a good bit. Oh, that's clean.
Right?
This beer smells amazing. I don't smell a strong bourbon presence. Let me see when I get this thing in a glass. Oh, Ron. This is the perfect colored triple.
Is it?
Look at that, man.
Oh, that looks so good.
And you know, dude, it smells like that flavor we were chasing when we were trying to brew triples. Oh my
It was
gosh.
quite difficult.
This smells amazing. I haven't even had it yet. This might take the top for one of my favorite triples ever. This is from November 23. All right, so not a new one.
This is as clean as can be. Crisp, clean. Some of the refreshing bubbles coming up.
Yeah.
And you know what? In a stupid way, it smells like beer.
I know what you're saying.
You know?
Though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic Mexican lager. Shall we?
Cheers, gents.
Cheers.
Good God almighty. This is one of the finest beers I've ever had. Ron, you got to get this, dude.
Yeah. Send me a bottle.
Holy cow.
You can get it easier than I can.
Yeah. This is a beer for like mowing your grass.
Yeah. Yeah. Pulling weeds in the garden in the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
Nice and hot. You can have you know where this is real? This would be incredible. Just having a swim, lounge in the pool after a nice hot day.
Yep.
I was curious about this one being bourbon barrel aged because that is something that can be really awesome. It's sometimes it's like done with the wrong beer and it's like too potent. It's just like flavor wise, you might just mix bourbon with beer and it doesn't like mix well. I wouldn't have thought like the sweetness, like that sort of honey vibe you get off of a triple would pair so well with this, but the bourbon barrel aged and the alcohol is like kind of sits on the very back of the tongue. But the front is more like a caramelite with just like a more honey notes.
Sure.
Damn, this is good.
Well, I look forward to receiving a bottle of it in the mail.
Yeah, I get that out too. I got some heady toppers for you guys too. I got to give away.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I would if you're in Mexico, I would definitely tell you pick up this Pilsner from Cerveza Charo because it's exactly as advertised. You get that kind of malty, cereally, and then it finishes. It's not very bitter, and it finishes nicely with a little sweetness at the end.
And it'll go great with an acorn marinated Swiss ham. What was it?
Iberian.
Yeah.
Did you say acorn marinated?
It was something. I don't remember what it said.
Oh my God. That's great. Oh my God. It's been too long since I've talked to you guys. This is amazing. All right, Ron, do you have a Ray Hudson ceremonial quote to kick us off?
I actually don't.
Are you out of your Vulcan mind?
Come back to me. I'll have one for the beer.
But it starts the soccer.
Yeah, well, you saw everything that was going on before the pod.
Yeah, but
you know I had so much time, right?
I got them lost.
You gotta love Ron's whole clan, dude. Like why they were just in Japan together, taking their little one for first trip, but prior she's over in Mexico doing something. Like, God, man, you guys are like made for each other, globetrotters.
Yeah, we are constantly.
Isn't Ray Hudson in a commercial now?
I think so. You know, people probably listen to this pod and are like, Ron doesn't work. You guys lie about themed events. Ron and his wife are like super spies and so. Like Ferris,
it's a good cover, right?
Ferris like James Bond too much. It's a whole super spy cover up situation.
But is there anything wrong with that?
No, not at all. Hey, 007's country may be able to claim a Euro championship. Speaking of, that's a rough segue
for England, James.
But I'll get it over there. So Spain versus England is all set for this summer's UEFA Euro 2024 final. Was a fun semifinals to get here. Before we give our thoughts and score predictions on the final, what have you guys thought about the tournament thus far?
Fun.
Yeah.
Certainly entertaining.
The field was expanded this year, and that made it for fun because look at what countries like Georgia did. How much fun they were to watch. Slovenia?
Yeah.
Didn't they make it to the knockout stages? I mean, the expanded tournament, those that kind of got into this expanded type tournament, how much fun have they been with just everything? You look at the Turkey fans, the Dutch fans, and that sea of orange. It's been such a fun time in Germany. You're playing in Dortmund and Leipzig and Berlin and Munich, and it just looks like it's such a blast. And the soccer has lived up to it with some great goals, some great goalkeeping in this tournament, and some fun teams, some fun fan bases, and it's been a blast.
It's also been a lot of own goals.
I was just going to say, the golden boot goes to own goals.
So,
poor Romelu
oh, dude.
Lukaku, who would have had the golden boot. He had three goals called
back.
For
he hit the post
VAR,
3 or 4 different times.
So this is from 4 days ago, which I don't think we've had any more own goals, but across 16 edition of the Men's European Championship before this summer in Germany, a total of just 20 own goals had been scored ever. And a massive 11 of them came in the last version, the Cross Europe tournament held in 2021. But that record is under threat with 10 scored so far for this year. Jeez, man. Like, I knew it was a lot. I don't think I realized it was 10 and close to breaking the record. Now I kind of want to see a couple of own goals. I want to see that record get beaten in this final.
It's been, it's also been a tournament of young stars too. Lamine Yamal, who plays for Spain and is also on the the Barcelona team. His goal against
youngest player to score
16
ever,
years
right?
old or something.
Yeah, he turned 17 Saturday or coming Saturday or Sunday.
And by the way, he scored in a semifinal of a major tournament and against France, the powerhouse that is France and a favorite of the tournament. And it was not just like your typical tap in goal. It was a wonderful move, wonderful body positioning, wonderful feet work, and a wonderful curling shot over a keeper who's been outstanding this entire tournament. And that set them up that tied it up at the time, and then allowed another just bright young star, a little bit older, obviously, but in Dani Olmo, who slotted the second home for them.
Which was almost an own goal with I forget the defender
because it was going on target.
Yeah,
it counted. But then you also had, was it Arden Gula? Is that the Turkey young player that is at Real Madrid, and he had just an equally tournament. The balls that he was playing into the box for, especially the Turkey defenders, who just seemed to score more than any of their attackers, just absolutely wild.
I would say that. Well, let's see. You have thoughts of the tournament. Favorite match has been. Should we move on to there?
Sure.
All right. So, on to favorite matches. You know, a Spain and Germany match is always
Was fun.
a good time. Welcome back, Ron. We're moving on to favorite matches, Ben, so far.
Oh, okay.
And I was saying, I think Spain and Germany, that's just like a game you want to see. So, I think that might be one of my top matches so far.
The what was the round of 16 game, Turkey and Austria? You had 2 goals by a center back in Demiral. That is like the first time that's ever occurred. Mind you, got suspended for the next game due to some post goal celebrations that were geared towards a fanatic group. But 2 goals by him off corners that beat an Austria side that was doing so well under Ralph Rangnick. And then at the very end of this game, it was so exciting, it kept it going all the way to the end, was an absolutely world-class, outstanding save of the tournament from Merritt Gunak. It was what would have been a game-tying goal in like the 93rd, 4th minute maybe. And that ball played in back post, and his dive and one-handed save. If you have not seen it, I don't know what you've been seeing this summer or what you've watched, but you got to watch it. It is one of the best saves that you will ever see, and just absolutely just a fun game.
Like you said, it's a good tournament for some goalkeepers, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple of other ones. I think Portugal, France turned out to be a lot of fun. 0-0 goes to pens. England, Switzerland, same, right? That one was 1-1.
Some last like late goals in each of those.
Yeah. I don't know. I think some of those were some of my more favorite matches.
A lot of for Portugal, as you mentioned, like a lot of like poor Ronaldo getting all the attention on him, especially with that missed chance.
Yeah, and then crying pen on the field and
or missed penalty.
Yeah, but you know what? You see how much it means to him. And then in the penalty kicks, he was the first one up and buried it, and didn't celebrate the way that you would think with the Sioux or anything like that. He kind of just put his hands up towards the fan and went, "Hey, listen, we're here because I didn't finish it in the half before,
which is
that
so
late in the game."
I mean, it's so Ronaldo though. Right, like the ego is that he didn't finish it.
Sure,
right?
Oh, absolutely.
The team had other chances that they didn't finish.
Yeah,
but it happens.
He failed to score at a Euros for the first time in his career, but he also had a very unselfish play and slotted in Bruno in that game in their group. I don't remember against who, but you also had games in this tournament that were not indicative of what the final score was. Sure. What I mean by that is, what was it? The Spain 1-0 victory over Italy. Spain made Italy look like they were Trinidad and Tobago or something. Like Spain absolutely wiped the floor with them, and had it not been for just an amazing day out by Gianluigi Donnarumma, it could have been 5-0, and that would have been more indicative of how that game went.
Right.
So you had some games like that throughout the tournament that were just interesting. Same with Belgium 0, Slovakia 1. You're going, oh my gosh, there's goals called off. There's saves having to be made by the Belgium keeper. Their saves. I mean, it was just some wild games.
I had to look up. Italy had a really rough tournament, didn't they? Overall.
Yeah, and they were in a tough group. To be fair, their group consisted of, I just had it up, of Spain, Italy, Croatia, and Albania. And we also saw the downfall, if you will, of Croatia. Yeah. A loss and 2 draws.
Which I don't know. I think I had a bit I figured they were going to punch a little bit higher than they did.
Sure. Just kind of some older legs out there, no real overly potent strike force.
Right.
Defense is okay, not quite what it was. So, yeah, absolutely. And we also saw sorry, Columbia just hit the post and stoppage time to almost make it 2-0 and they're man down. But you also saw the end of a wonderful career in Toni Kroos for Germany. We said on the pod a while ago at the end of the Real Madrid season, he was going to retire and that the Euros going back and playing for Germany in the home country of the tournament in Germany. They got to the semis. No, they got to the quarters, right? Because they were knocked out by Spain. And how he still can command a game. And you're going, why are you hanging up? But he's hanging up at the right time. He's going out on top with his club. They gave it a go. They came up against probably the team of the tournament so far in Spain. And just a wonderful career from him. And it was a nice nod by Adidas that renamed their 11 Pro cleat or something like that to Tony cleat or Kroos cleat or something along those lines.
Right.
That kind of renamed the cleat after him for a cleat that he wore basically his entire career and didn't want to change at all. So, the tournament just has a little bit of everything.
And surprisingly, only one team got out of the group stages undefeated. Winning throughout. Because Portugal also was undefeated. 2 wins and a draw. Spain won all 3 of their matches.
Mm-hmm.
So the competition was actually quite tough. France finishing second in their group to Austria.
And not scoring a goal in open play until the semis.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that was bonkers. That might have been one of the bigger
Wild.
stories for the whole tournament.
And, they have Mbappe, and yes, his nose broke. And I'm sitting here going, you know what? That was any sort of NHL, AHL, EHL type of hockey player, he would have been out there next shift, skating up and down with 2 things plugged up his nose. Oh, I got to sit out. Oh, I want a face mask. I want a fun face mask. Oh, but the Euros said no, so you have to have a black face mask. I'm not going to play the next game. In fairness, he was on the bench, so it was maybe a coach thing. But you have Mbappe, you have Griezmann, you have Dembele, you have players that can score. But it wasn't so much about them, it was about their defense because they really didn't concede at all. There wasn't a team that scored against them. And guess who was in the midfield for that, who we kind of forgot about because he's playing off in the Saudi League?
N'Golo Kante. Who can still boss a field.
Can just absolutely be protector and just be a defensive midfielder, true and tried, and just absolutely helped have 0 goals conceded.
Every time.
All the way up until, the semis, I think?
I can't be the only one of the 3 of us that every time I hear Griezmann's name, I think of Griswold.
What do you want, Greaseball?
Greaseball, Griezmann. Every time I just hear it as one of the names that, Bill Murray's brother calls him.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of his name? But yeah. Every time from Christmas Vacation. Griezmann.
Just a fun. And I mean, we talk, I think, what was the other thing we had said? Oh, your best players and most favorite players to watch. You mill them all. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. But that 16-year-old's been a lot of fun to watch. There's been good moments, and Blake kind of alluded to it, kind of, not really. But seeing Bukayo Saka step up to the pen in that quarterfinal, and was he first up? Is he first in line?
This go round, I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But either way, to step up after his last Euros and bury that pen, I'm not his biggest fan, obviously. And you may not like Arsenal, you may not like him, you may not like his style of play, yada, yada, yada. But it had to put a smile on your face for what he had gone through after that last Euros, the 2020 Euros, which was played in 2021 because of the pandemic.
Right.
And that miss that basically ended the entire thing.
And
you,
not only
you absolutely have to. So it was a good moment, and he's been okay the tournament.
Well, I was going to say
in that game in particular, he was the star of the match with the goal.
Yeah.
But up until then, there was England press saying, "Hey, you should bench him."
that's what I was going to say. Actually, was that he'd actually been a little quiet in the tournament until that match, and then he was the equalizer, right? Yeah, during the game with a good goal. And then buries his pen and had like the best game of tournament when you needed it. So,
yeah, that was against Switzerland, and he was third in the lineup.
There you go. And then you get what if we're staying with that game, you get Ivan Toney with like a no look shot, where he just stared straight and it was what it kind of reminded me of. Do you guys remember those old was it Gatorade Nike commercials where it was like Bird and Jordan? They're like, we're going to play a game of horse.
Do you know? No.
Off the scoreboard, off the thing, off the whatever, off your mom's back into the net.
It's nothing but net.
Nothing but net, yeah.
That, I am 99% sure, look it up, is a McDonald's commercial.
You might be right.
Yeah. Off the wall, throughout the window, blah, blah, blah,
you
blah.
might be right.
Nothing but net. And they kept making them bigger and bigger for a little while. Yeah.
Like, for some reason, that's you can look at it in a few different ways for what Ivan Toney did, but how, the stone to get up and do that and bury it, by the way, good for him in terms of just keeping his calm and his cool and just going, this is another game.
And
another pen.
Blake with the memory.
The McDonald's 1993, you're right.
1993 Super Bowl ad.
Right, and
that's right.
It was Bird, right? Was it Bird and
Bird
Jordan?
I'm gonna hit this shot wherever you want.
Play a little game of horse. Gosh, I played so much horse in my backyard growing up.
Oh
Man.
yeah.
Nothing but net.
But yeah, just some fun players, throughout the Spain squad. Dani Olmo. Couple of goals, few assists. He's been great this entire tournament. The Dutch, Depay's looked quite good. There's just the Turkey defense. I mean, we kind of have gone over a little bit of it here, but man, just a lot of fun players and teams, and the tournament's just been a lot of fun. I think you're getting. As we move on to the final and start to talk about that, Spain by far has been the best tournament, or has been the best team all to start tournament, right?
Yeah, very consistent, high press, high pace, a lot of one-touch passing that just clips right through defenses, takes out entire lines of defense. And I mean, they even when they look like they're frustrated and out of ideas, they come up with some really entertaining, clever runs or cutbacks.
Yeah, and it's been a lot because of that young 16-year-old that we mentioned a lot, but also on the other side, Nico Williams has had himself a wonderful tournament, just absolutely tormenting the right backs of teams, and he's being now. A tournament like this always brings this, but he's being looked at now as a big transfer target for teams.
Yeah, we should
his
see
buyout clause is not that much, and these teams like Real Madrid and a Barca and those others can sign him because he's just having himself a great tournament. He's only 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there.
Well, that's going to be the thing, isn't it? Because this always happens. Euros pop up and somebody gets a big payday to come to some team and they totally bust. They have an awesome tournament. Their chemistry and whatever just fires right with their national team, and whatever club they go to that they get really overpaid for, it doesn't tend to work out.
On the Spain side, who else had a very good tournament? Chelsea player Marc Cucurella. His
hair's had a great tournament.
He's had his hair's having a great life.
Yeah, no, fair.
But he has had an incredible tournament.
He's had a pretty
Spain.
solid. Yes, he has. And then it's interesting because now Spain are going up against England, who after the first two games in the group, the English media were calling for Southgate to resign and be sacked, and Kane shouldn't start anymore, and why the hell isn't so and so playing, and how are you where is Foden, and it was like the country was just on fire with this, and now they're at a final, and they've earned it. But this is what Southgate does.
But when
he gets them to semifinals and to finals, and he wins tournament games. The only goal in tournament soccer is to advance.
Yeah.
And he's done that for the past 3 big tournaments. The World Cup, he got to a semifinal. This Euros to a final. Last Euros to a final. Has he won one yet? No, but England hasn't won one since the 60s.
Yeah, so it's not like it's just him.
Right.
Yeah, but I was going to say that is the commentary online. Because everyone's like, well, great. Good job, lads. It wasn't Southgate. It was you, because he screws this up every time, and you're not going to win because of him.
So I was telling Ferris this kind of before we started recording the pod. I was listening to the Sirius XM. It's not Grumpy Pundits right now. It's like the morning of summer soccer
morning or something.
Yeah. And there's 2 British, an Irish and a
Tommy Smith
and a March. Not March. What's his name?
It's another one.
Yes.
Rodney Marsh.
Thank you. And they are
former
just
English player.
ripping into the English team for being too sensitive about what the press is saying and how they're being represented in the media, and how in their day you just kind of, ignored things and you went out and you played for the love of the game. And I was sitting there thinking, if I had more time, I would call this show and I would tell them exactly how they are.
Yes.
Because so first of all, you played right after the Earth's crust cooled. And
you could finish a game and not, unless you picked up the paper or cut on your TV, you didn't hear anything, instead of your phone notifications going off or whatever crap. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And so, like, they're over here talking about how it was the same for them and when they played, and I'm like, it's not the same at all. First of all, with how fast and how much opinion is floating around and is easily obtained by anyone or read by anyone, and whips people up into frenzies like crazy.
I mean, just this podcast is a perfect example of the reach that anybody could have in sharing their thoughts and sharing their opinions.
Every player of the Euro will be listening to this to find out what we had to say.
100%.
Oh, yeah. But also the thing is, the British media is some of the worst when it comes to
ruthless.
The attacks that they levy toward sports, right? I'm sure it's the same way for celebrities and, the royal family and all that kind of stuff. But since we're so involved in the sport portion of it, I mean, England can win every single match that they have to play by 6-0, keep a clean sheet
by 1-0,
and all they would do is argue that it's not pretty enough, or it's not the England style, or they'd have something to say. No one can ever just say, "We won, we did our job, great job, lads, move on."
You know, I guarantee you, they win this thing. You should go start pulling the headlines and articles immediately for our next podcast and see how much, like I said, they'll be like, well, they won, but despite Southgate, you can tell the lads ignored them and they just did their own thing and
And it's just that. Sorry, real quick to just finish up that train of thought. It was just so eye-opening as a bystander that they don't have a good representation of, or they don't have a good self-awareness, because here they are saying that Jude Bellingham's comment was, we won and we advanced, but I'm sure there'll be grief at home. And they were all up in arms about it. But again, as Ferris has said, the point is to advance.
It's the only point in tournament football.
And that's what they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
there's just not a lot of awareness.
They haven't
in the media.
necessarily been the biggest fan of Southgate from the start, right? But you know what? You know who else they weren't a big fan of at the start, and the English media killed? Daniel Craig when he became James Bond. No, I'm dead serious.
I know. And look, you full circle. I love it.
I'm dead serious. But you know what? Daniel Craig ended up being one of the best Bonds there is, and there's an Apple doc on it, which is fantastic. And Southgate has been one of the statistically best England managers that there has ever been.
But there's a problem. Ferris, Ron and I both know this. You can't actually
One looks great in a suit.
You can't actually judge this because you never saw George Lazenby's one of Her Majesty's Reserves.
That is fair.
You haven't actually, as a Bond fan, watched that one yet. So you can't.
I've seen the whole movie in bits and parts and pieces. I haven't sat there and watched it. Anyways, we're okay.
Listen. Even though you've promised to watch it on numerous occasions and have neglected your promise.
Ron brought you the beer from the snowy top where he was
sitting
I
up
mean,
here.
come on.
It's right there.
That survived my
back to
trip.
soccer.
Well.
Southgate essentially got here this afternoon for us with the same team that he put out from day one. The only change, who's been fantastic, by the way, Kobe Manu came in for, I think it was a Trent Alexander experiment starting there in the center midfield. But if you go back and look at the very first team he put out, the very first group game, I think that's the only change. But other than that, everybody else the exact same.
Well, who you got?
So it's not they advanced against the Dutch. Yes, they finally played a team that they probably, the stiffest of competitions that they would have had, but they advanced.
So, well, who do you got?
That's
then?
the goal.
That was your other question. Who are you picking?
Man, I think this goes 1-1, 2-2, 0-0, something to extra time and pens, and then I want to go England, but Spain's have been too good. And I think if they do get to pens in the final, they're overconfident at this point because all five of their penalty takers nailed it. Can they do all five again? I don't know. Odds tell you probably not, right? What is it? 8 out of 10 pens are made, 9 out of 10 pens. You think somewhere in that range. So odds tell you they don't. But I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I'll be cheering for England, but I think Spain.
England hasn't been as consistent as they need to be. This was by far the England game today was by far the best they've played. So they're peaking at the right time. But I just think Spain reminds me of when did Germany? Remember, there was years where Germany would just grind a team, right? And Spain is very reminiscent of that Germany squad. Maybe not necessarily in the clinical style of play, because I think Spain are a little dirty, or a little sloppy, I should say. But they find the way to win, and they have such high energy. They have chances like crazy. They're so creative. And that high press, when they press as a team, I mean, everybody just kind of, folds in the wake. So I really think Spain's going to end up taking this.
So if Spain wins, I'll give you 3. It's 2-1. The one goal is a penalty kick from Harry Kane because he always gets those. That's how that works. If England manages to win, it'll be because it's 0-0 and goes to penalties. I think that's maybe 1-1. Again, a Harry Kane penalty. It will be how that goes. I think that's England's best shot. I also think that there is a world where all these pundits you just were talking about, Ron, England plays it really safe. They go really boring and fall back, and it's 0-0, and they lose in penalties, and they erupt on Southgate because of it. I think that is like just as likely a situation. So it'll be interesting if he manages to do that. They go to penalties and they win that way. I guarantee you'll get the kind of articles you were just talking about. We won, but all about that.
Right.
All right, gents. Shall we get over closer to this side of the pond for the Copa America?
Before we do,
first we should do our second beer before the beer news. And this one is from a craft brewery in Cancun, my friends. Great scuba diving, good beaches, watch out for the hurricanes.
big tourist destination.
But Cerveza Clara Allende.
Allende.
It is a golden ale, 4.5% ABV, 19 on the old IBUs, and a good 3 on the bitterness scale for the IBUs.
No bitter beer face.
Like I don't understand how they did this on their website, because if the IBUs are 19 and there's 3, I don't know. Anyway,
Allende.
The Allende Golden Ale will make you remember Mexico with every sip. A perfect beer for any occasion. Elegant, refreshing, and sophisticated. The blend of malt and hops creates a unique flavor experience, a recipe that brings together the best of Mexican beer.
Cool.
There you go. Pour yourself a shot there for me.
Mexico, like us, didn't even make it past the group stage in the Copa.
I'm excited to see what this one comes out as. Like a good golden ale.
Nothing like a good gold.
Allende. It's like saying that, if you haven't noticed.
I hadn't.
Okay.
So you just said something.
Oh, you know what? That should be your glass.
Well, this is the one you gave me.
Oh.
Cheers. Doesn't taste like a golden ale.
Does not. It tastes more like a lager. Right?
It's
a little bit warmer because we didn't have this one in the fridge. It was just as cold as the first one, but
it's a very... I could see why you say it's a lager. It's very kind of crackery up front, right? The taste you get is kind of biscuit, cracker.
Like a Kolsch kind of thing?
No.
I think if you were heavy on the Kolsch, but
if this was called a golden lager, like it almost like it was trying to go golden ale and then petered off into a lager, which there's nothing against little lagers. Don't get me wrong. I love me a good lager, but
this is like a hybrid beer between the two.
Yeah.
And it's got a little bit on the bitter side.
So kind of like Mexico. It got into the tournament partly because the continent's hosting it, but it never got out of the group stage.
Not too bad, but I probably wouldn't
go
out of my way to buy another one.
Yeah.
But it's
Allende.
It's like
it's
pizza.
right.
Pizza, it's still good, even when it's not great.
I will say, I bet you this tastes fantastic on draft.
Maybe a little fresher.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, you know what? I was throwing him a bone. Let's go.
All right. Well, I mean, from beer to talking about the U.S. men's disastrous tournament. I mean, so the Copa America, for those of us in the U.S., has obviously clearly been all about the U.S. men's national team and their lack of performance. Their lack of performance against big teams prior to this tournament.
Yes. And it's the CONMEBOL. This is usually reserved for just the South American teams.
Yeah.
But every few years they have it here.
They just don't. They don't look like they're coming together. And look, about an hour before the pod or so, 2 hours, whatever, news was officially out that Greg Berhalter had been let go from the men's national team.
Relieved of duties, I believe, is what they
relieved of duties,
said.
not a conscious uncoupling. Relieved of duties. The thing is, like, when all that crap went down with him and oh God, why did I forget the player's name and all the controversy with his parents? Giorena. When all that crap went down and Greg was no longer the coach, only to be brought back in after all that stuff happened, it was really clear that, like, is this the best you can do? Is this the best you can do?
And one of the names
guys.
on there was the person that just put Canada into the semis.
Yes, true. Jesse Marsh was on that list, and as he is now, he's been very vocal about that whole thing too.
Yes, he has.
How it's pulled from, and he got to the semifinals with Canada, a team that on paper we should have been a lot better than. But is this the best we can do? You sure about that? You sure about that? Like, that's how I feel when it comes to the Greg Berhalter thing. You knew this is how this was going to end. That their extensive search, they said, just brought them back around to how just Greg's the guy for now. He's the right guy for the team to move us forward. And no, you knew he wasn't going to win the World Cup with them or do anything crazy. I don't know why they did this and just made U.S. soccer look even dumber.
Well, it was a waste of an incredible opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, and the sacking kind of was because of one game in the tournament, when you think about it, right? Or was the cherry on the top or the tipping point, right? Because they beat Bolivia 2-0, but by any stretch, that should have probably been 5-0. Like there was chances, and it looked great. Like it was a great start of the tournament. Against Panama, we've beaten Panama before. Hell, we've watched them beat Panama 2 times here in the past 2 World Cup cycles here in Orlando by big scores, 4-1, 5-1. 2-1 to Panama. Now, in fairness, it went downhill because of a stupid Tim Weah red card. Very uncharacteristic of the player, but a deserved red.
Yeah.
And
violent conduct.
Yes, and just tough to get back in the game. So that game then went from, were they up 1-0 at the time, or was it tied 1-1?
I think it was 1-1 at the time because tensions were rising.
Yeah. So it was 1-0.
Was it?
Then they made it 2-0 4 minutes, or 1-1 2 minutes later, and then the 83rd was a 2-1.
Oh, yeah.
And then you played against Uruguay, which you had to get a result against, which Uruguay had been a very, very good team. And the U.S. actually didn't play too bad in that game. They didn't let Uruguay bully them around. They fought back. It was a laser tight offside call that really is still hard to tell even to this day, even with the lines being drawn across the damn pitch. But that's something else we didn't hit on in the Euros. The automated offside in the Euros has done very, very well. I'm looking forward to that happening in the Premier League this season.
Sure.
This was more CONCACAFian type lines being drawn and figured out and all that. But played very, very well against Uruguay. But because you needed a result that was very very unlikely for the U.S. men to beat Uruguay and by a scoreline that would have outdone what Panama would have done to Bolivia. And it came close there. About a minute before Uruguay scored, there was news that came in that Bolivia tied it up 1-1 against Panama. So if the U.S. score a goal or anything, or they get a result from that and they leave Uruguay off the board, they advance. That next minute, Uruguay score. The next minute after that, I think, Panama score. And then it was like, what was a flash of hope.
Yeah, gone.
And it was kind of these 3 games were a storyline of how Greg Berhalter's kind of career gone. Like, kind of came out in a flash, young players, won some Gold Cups, won this sort of thing, then had this very down moment with the Reina family after getting knocked out of the World Cup and not playing Gio and all of this, and he goes into this forum, he talks all of this. That's like the Panama game, where it was kind of self-inflicted, but you weren't completely out of it yet. Well, then they brought him back. So you have another chance. You have a chance against Uruguay. You came close. You won another Gold Cup. You did this. This is a warm-up to the World Cup in this country. You're going against CONMEBOL teams, the best teams. You have a chance, and you can't even get out of the group. And then you're sacked.
I think there's some things that kind of lead up to this. The whole, as you touched on, this is the warm up into the World Cup and the momentum that we're going to take. I largely think all of that hype was unwarranted, right? If you look at the friendlies that we played against Brazil and what we beat them 1-1 or we drew them 1-1,
0-0, I think, yeah,
right? Like, and then there was I don't know. There's a handful of other like top teams, quote unquote, that we did well against. But it was all international friendlies in weird off cycles with like the Z team of, or the Q team of Brazil and the P team of the Americans. So you couldn't really put much stock in that. And so we're the hype for America coming in, for the US coming into this was that this is the best generation of soccer and most talented players we've ever had. But it never struck me as like we're that great of a soccer nation, right? And so we did relatively nothing since the World Cup is what we've proven here, right? We crash out of the World Cup. We crash out here. What did we do in between?
BJ Callahan won a Gold Cup, Nations League. He won something, didn't he?
The Gold Cup.
Something, yeah.
Right? Against teams we play all the time. It wasn't like
it took a late goal against Jamaica, I think it was, and yeah.
So we really haven't done very much. And then we hire we do an extensive what was it called? An extensive
he gets an extensive something.
The
extensive
sporting
search,
director,
right, that they did to try and find a new coach, which didn't feel very extensive. Yes.
And so Matt Crocker, who's the U.S. sporting director, does his intensive review of all the potential managers that are out there and decides that Berhalter's back. And he is, but then he's not good, so they can him after this tournament. So what did we really accomplish?
Nothing.
And then the bigger question in my mind is, why does Matt Crocker still have a job? He's the one that brought him back. Why does...
well, in fairness, he brought... Not Emma Stone. What the hell?
Emma Hayes.
Emma Hayes in, which is a good next hire, seemingly.
But fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But why does he still have a job?
But the U.S.
Every squirrel finds a nut.
Because what if he brings in Klopp this time?
I think you could have gotten Emma Hayes to the U.S. because when it comes to the U.S. women's game, we are the top.
Oh, sure.
So
sure. We are the top job in the sport still,
I don't think that's him being... that's him being, hey, look at this person does.
There was no great coup that Matt Crocker pulls off.
And mind you, he's English. He came from Southampton, right?
Yes.
Somewhere like that. So, probably not great, but still a good, seemingly good hire to move the U.S. women's team who's going through this period of transition into the next phase.
Yeah.
That, have we transitioned into the next phase? I think Greg helped us transition.
To what? What did we come from that was so great?
Because he had the confidence of the players, of these Weston McKennies, of the Tyler Adams.
What difference does it make?
But to bring them along,
which he didn't,
well, he did, because he still won stuff. He won Gold Cups. He won Nations Leagues, things that we weren't doing. We beat Mexico 3 or 4 times on the bounce, and it's proving that they're really not that good of a team.
Yeah,
especially in these last few wins. But he's helped transition us out of the Donovan, Dempsey, that era into this young era. But then he's transitioned us. But and I think that was what was so surprising when he got a contract extension or he got brought back or on a new deal or whatever it was, that was he the right person after this transition to then move us forward? And that's what you want out of this next hire is this is the time to capitalize, because in 2 years, that World Cup's here in the States. And the last time it was here, there was a soccer boom. Absolute boom to grow.
You don't want to crash
who's
out
that next coach going to be? And he's going to be...
Berhalter's...
Matt Crocker's going to be judged by that now.
Well, he should be judged by what he's done here. In the biggest tournament in the world tournaments, we have not been good. All Berhalter is proven is that he's good against CONCACAF opponents. That's it.
Sure, but in fairness, prior to him, we couldn't even beat Trinidad and Tobago to get into a World Cup. So, I mean, technically he accomplished more than the last guy. But, I get your point. And a lot of people were calling for this to occur. And, you have to give it to them to go, okay, not have a rash decision a week or two after you realize they don't make it to the next round. Hey, let's give it a week. We're going to make a decision sometime mid next week. And they did. Now, that next step is what is this extensive search going to be? Is it going to be another U.S.? Is it going to be an England manager? Big Sam, please, God almighty. I mean, if you brought Hayes here, or is it going to be a Klopp?
I think what's frustrating, it could be a Klopp. The German team will get him first. That's just not going to happen.
No, I don't know.
But
if I was betting on it right now, I'd put a bet in for Klopp.
What? No way.
100%.
No way.
100%.
I think
he did have a 4th of July
Did you see his 4th of
tweet.
July post? That was pure love. Pure love for the States.
Well, I do think
it's well known he likes to come here with Liverpool when he was their manager and go to play in LA and Seattle and wherever the hell else they played. Mark my words.
I'm just saying this Jesse Marsh thing is rough because who knows how we would have done in this tournament necessarily, but like Jesse Marsh, I think had Canada punching above their weight, and you had the opportunity to get him and you did not. I'm not saying he could get you as far as you need to go, but I just felt like Greg got us as far as he could first go round. I don't know the second go round.
That's the feeling. Yep.
Like, so here's the short list: Klopp, Thierry Henry, Bielsa, Pochettino, and then MLS coaches Steve Cherundolo, and Wilfred Nancy.
Do you like Wilfred Nancy?
That's the short list.
Has to be Klopp all day long.
Is there a betting one
Bielsa
yet?
with Uruguay's fine. I don't know if he wants. I mean, we'll see. But to kind of move us along, and Blake, you just hit on it. What Jesse Mark did with Canada to come up to get them to a semifinals match and get out of the group and beat not Panama. Who the heck did they beat?
Yeah, but that's
Venezuela. Yeah.
And yes, he beat them on pens, but then to come up and against a Argentina team who happens to be the world champ, at the moment. But you're right. Jesse March punched above his weight, got Canada to advance against tournament football, got him to advance.
Yeah.
Had a seemingly good style of play. The players bought into it. They attacked. They had their chances against Argentina. And you're seeing what he's kind of done in a very short period of time that he's been in the job, because he was only announced a few weeks, if that, before the tournament started. So a lot of promise there in Canada on what Marsh can do. And to your point, Blake, what the U.S. could have had.
What could have been. What could have been. Yes.
And Canada was ranked 48th coming into this tournament. And they did a great job against 12th ranked Venezuela. It was fun to watch. The entire thing was it was a wide open game for so long. Canada just looked like they're having so much fun, and it's actually fun to watch our neighbors to the north.
Yep.
I just want us a new coach that's good. I'm still stuck in that world. We need new leadership in the front office of that place. Like, just clean house.
Well, technically, we have new leadership. Matt Crocker hasn't been in the job that long.
Yeah, he's not doing all that well.
Well, the Women's Olympics, we'll see.
Yeah.
But also, look, why are we only basing him on the stuff that is doing well for the women's side?
I know, but I'm saying you can't.
Yes, you can.
But if you look at his tenure as a whole, that has seemingly been a nailed on hire that is like 100% favored by every fan of U.S. women's soccer, right? Like 97% favorite. So,
and you have no idea choice? How much is he actually responsible for that?
Well, it was his hire. So now we don't know the inner workings of that, but to lure Hayes away from her home country to not coach her own national team home country, away from club ball, which she's always had great success at. Are there things that probably helped? Did she accomplish everything at Chelsea that she could have? Yes. Has she coached here before? Is she familiar with the U.S.? Yes. There's a lot of things playing in his favor, but he still made the hire. So
if I am 50% good at my job, I should keep it.
I mean,
sure,
you'd
but
be a mediocre.
But
yes,
but say he does land Klopp, then what? That's two seemingly great hires to progress the teams forward, and one not so good.
Stop. No, he is not going to. Jurgen Klopp will not come coach the men's national team of the U.S. That is not. Okay. You cannot put that hypothetical in there. Okay, that ain't happening.
I did it. The worldwide leader in sports just had him on a short list.
But even they say it's like the stuff of fantasy, even though Tim Howard's willing to go out there.
Because they're owned by Disney. Of course it is.
When you wish upon a German bar. All right.
Nice. We got to move on.
All right. What else do we want to say about this Copa America?
In the final? There's two teams playing against each other. This should be a good match.
So Colombia just withstood the Uruguayan onslaught as Colombia scored a bit of a early goal and then made some stupid decisions, got a second yellow.
Yeah, they were poked by Uruguay to try to entice them, and it was a stiff bow to the chest.
Yeah, it was as distinct an elbow to the chest as Zinedine Zidane's headbutt was to Italy.
I think we call that the people's elbow. Was what that was.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you smell,
and
Colombia's cooking.
So Colombia, who played about 60 minutes down a man, and was able to pull off the win, and so Colombia advance, and they will play Argentina for the final.
Come on, Colombia.
I know, right?
Listen, they've been fun. That they've been scored. They scored 5 goals is what they put up earlier.
Yeah,
again in the tournament to beat whoever the hell they beat in the round before that.
Panama,
yeah. Which hell we couldn't even get past them.
Right.
So 5 goals. They smacked us 5 goals. In the game just before the Copa. So they're high flying. They score. They have defense. This should be a really fun finals on Sunday. Both these should be. You have one at 3:00 Eastern time in the Euros, and then one at I think 8:00 on Eastern Standard Time. So 2 very good finals coming up on Sunday.
So can you imagine if Canada beats Uruguay and goes to the finals?
If they did,
yeah. After everything
it would have been Canada v. Colombia.
Yeah. Especially after
it would have been interesting.
Everything we just talked about with Mr. Berhalter.
Oh, you mean if Canada beat Argentina?
So, sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, but not Uruguay. Other blue flag, but yes. Would have been. I can literally think back to the heat of the episode we did when Berhalter was rehired.
Yeah.
That was the most, all this crap for literally nothing. All right, I'll leave it at that. Where are we at? Blow that halftime whistle.
There you go.
All right, now we move over to the private, hey, I can say this without bleeping it out. Our very own private dick, Ferris ferrets out the news with his Fair Investigates beer news.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Blake.
You're welcome.
As a fan favorite as a kid of old Dick Tracy, I am.
See what you did there.
I'm good with that.
Talk to your Apple Watch.
Right? It always makes me feel like James Bond or Dick Tracy every time I get to talk on that thing. It's like, oh man, it's so cool.
The little walkie-talkie action.
Oh, I had one of them. It's still at the house somewhere.
So great.
Absolutely. Okay. So, as many people on this pod know, and friends that listen to this pod know, during the pandemic, I got sacked. I was parted ways from.
Were you
my
50% good at your job or 50% bad at your job?
Anyway, I was hired back to that company. So what is that? So am I on the Greg Berhalter?
Yeah. There you
God bless it.
Our very
Yeah,
own Greg Berhalter in the
It
studio.
was an exhaustive process, but they brought you back.
Oh, God bless. Good callback. Anyways, I was looking for a job, and I love beer, obviously. And I had gotten a job at Big Storm Brewing. It was a brewery that I knew from back home in Pinellas County, Florida, from where I'm from. And they opened a tap room here in Orlando, attached to what was at the time the Amway. It's now the Kia Center. And I always wondered, like, how the hell they did that? Because the deal's through the city of Orlando because they're the ones that own the Amway. And from what I had heard, the owners had paid like 2 years up front on a 6-year deal, something along those lines. Well, as of 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, however long ago, the Big Storm Orlando is no longer. It does no longer exist. It's been closed down. Same back in September with Cape Coral. Odessa's closed, and Ybor has been evicted. And Ybor opened up after us. Reasons because the owners, or the one owner at the moment is LJ Giovanni, and he is the son of Leo Giovanni. Well, Mr. Leo, who was part of the ownership when I first got hired and had met both of them, at some point he stepped down and had passed it off to his son. That was the main person that we saw anytime they came up here. Anyways, according to several news outlets in Pinellas County and Business Journal, and that Leo, the father, is being accused of stealing $100 million from trust funds for people with special needs. Is in some more hot water after he was hit with a lawsuit filed by the Florida Attorney General, accusing him of orchestrating a similar scheme through a different company. According to a civil complaint, more than $2 million is missing from dozens of trust funds accounts connected to Directed Benefits Foundation, a nonprofit operated by Leo Giovanni and oversees trust for disabled clients.
So he opened essentially a not-for-profit charity organization, set up a bunch of trust funds, put money into it, and then that money was allegedly laundered or embezzled out to who knows where.
That's what he's being accused of.
Right.
Ferris,
I'm
did
saying
you
accused
work?
because none of this has been tried.
Ferris, did you work for a nation state that owns football clubs? Is that?
No. I will tell you, there was like when I got like my first documents, it's in one of these articles. It was run through the Seaboard company, and the whole thing just got, kind of. I'm not surprised by this. Let me just put it this way: like, it was just kind of breweries aren't cheap. Like, we've seen that around here. A lot of breweries have closed because of just their own financial, nothing related to embezzlement or that. They're just not cheap. They're expensive. Anyways, the lawsuit filed by the state of Florida. It's quite a big state. Accuses Giovanni and his business partners of creating false accounting records to conceal its wrongdoing and evade detection. So the state's really...
That sounds like Man City.
Yeah, right?
115 charges filed against.
Yep. The Florida Attorney General is... Usually the state of Florida doesn't sue you unless it seemingly has something on you, right?
Right.
So the judge, this, and there was a statement by this, and I won't go into all of that. You can read these articles on Fox 13 News, on a lot of the outlets, Ash News, and that various things. Just Google it. You can read a whole bunch. Now, that's his father, right? Who's no longer owning Big Storm, right? He started it. He started it with a brewer. I can't remember his name at the moment. I think it was Ben somebody. But anyways, his son is now in it. Now his son is in his own bit of hot water, and part of the reason why they were evicted. So like when you don't pay your rent, the landlord evicts you.
Right.
That's what happened to our brewery. Never made sense to me why Big Storm opened up a brewery across the bay in Ybor on the second floor where Tampa Bay Brewing Company is down. It never made sense to me. I was like, Orlando, okay. Odessa, Cape Coral, you're covering the state. Ybor?
Yeah.
Are you serious, Clark? Anyways, so the controversy around his son, LJ Giovanni, who is the businessman owner of Big Storm Company Brewing, a Big Storm investor, David Wink, filed a lawsuit back, I think in May, accusing Giovanni family of funneling money from the Center for Special Needs Trust into the brewery. Wink's attorney, Drew Pedersen, said he reviewed Big Storm's financial books and records and found hundreds of bank slips that appear to show deposits from the center in the brewery. So a spokesperson, I guess, for Big Storm, I don't know who that is, blamed banking errors as it.
It's a lot of banking errors.
Huh. That's a
Whatever.
okay.
Yeah.
So in a statement to Fox 13, LJ Giovanni threatened a countersuit against the investor. And I will read the statement. The claims made in the lawsuit are entirely false, baseless, and lack any factual foundation and are designed solely to tarnish my reputation and embarrass my family. Look no further than the fact that I first heard about the suit from the media. Mr. Wink knows full well that I have absolutely nothing to do with the Center for Special Needs Trust Administration. Again, that's the foundation that his father set up.
So his father's screwing him, right? Seemingly.
Allegedly.
Right.
I want to make it unequivocally clear that I have never engaged in any fraudulent activities or wrongdoing as alleged. These accusations are not only unfounded, but also defamatory, and I am committed to fighting them vigorously. In response to his malicious attack on my character, I intend to take immediate legal action against Mr. Wink and his associates. It goes on while law affords plaintiffs the right, yada, 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 yada. So they're just in a whole storm of financial issues. So that, obviously, they were evicted out of the Ybor location. Yes?
Ferris, would you say it was a big shitstorm?
It was a big, yes, it was. Yes.
You're welcome.
Well done.
It's very sad that you didn't say that.
Yes, fair enough. How that got to here and more home, I appreciate the people that I worked with and for the GM, and helped me through a very dark time, and was there when I just needed that support for my job and stuff. So I look at my time there in a very good way. I have no clue if I'm still employed by them or not. Couldn't tell you. No clue. I'm on their books. I'm not on their books. I have no clue.
I could take a wild guess.
Yeah,
for it.
I'm sure you can. And so can I.
I bet technically, Ron, he's still there, but because no one's done anything. Like,
right.
It's still
possible.
This is the Arrested Development of beer.
Yes.
Yeah. So
there's money in the banana stand.
So there's money in the brewery.
So long story short, I go out to Celebration Brewing, which just opened and has helped the tap room manager's a friend and worked at Strings for years, and he was telling me about this. I said, I'd seen the article and I'd seen some of these articles, but there was no mention of what the Orlando tap room was. Right, seemingly that was one of 3 only remaining open things because Odessa and Cape Coral had closed. So then I don't see it anywhere in the news, and I get a text before it was a week of a City game a few weeks back. Hey, are you stopping by the brewery on Saturday? It's our last day. So I was like, okay. So I go there after the game, and it's, a lot of people that had worked there in the past, and we're just hugging and taking pictures, and it was just kind of, it was good to spend time with them and just share drinks, and it was interesting because hearing them who worked there obviously a hell of a lot more than I have in the past several months. She said they didn't get a whole lot of communication as all. There's been no term, of here's your last day, here's why, here's what's taking place, here's what's happening. It was just like, hey, this is the last day. The city of Orlando says this is the last day. I won't conjecture on the rumor that I heard as to why that being the last day they didn't get to the end of the month, because I don't know if that's true or not. But it was a good time with some good friends and co-workers, just to share some last beers, some good laughs, some good memories on it. Got a chance to pour my last beers there. My last beer poured there was a Bromosa,
Congrats.
by the way.
Excellent.
And the beer that we're going to have tonight is not a Bromosa, but one of the good things that actually happened this year was they started a Bro series. They've been some darn good beers, and they're all variations of IPA, hazy IPAs from what was a big success and their most successful beer being in Bromosa. And Ron tried one. We had Bromance, which was darn good, and I had that on a pod a few weeks back. This one, I don't think you have had. This is an American IPA called Brojo Dojo.
I love the name.
It is of this Hulk-looking tan man in glasses with his with like a V-neck, button-up, chest showing, pink jacket, green pants, riding this horse with a big smile with palm trees and the sun in the background. So they did this whole rebranding this year on their beers and whatnot, and I shared some of that in past pods. But
it's like Fabio Miami Vice. That's what that guy looks like.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, yep. And as we left, since it was kind of a lawless tap room at the time, is probably the best way that I could say that without going into details of the things.
A lawless tap room is the name of a great movie. That is awesome.
Yes. I may or may not have walked out with like 5 or 6 six-packs, a case of seltzers, a couple of 4-packs.
It's a new punk band.
Yeah, all for
Lawless tap room.
All for a good price and deal. I'll just
We are Lawless Tap Room. 1, 2, 3, 4. Absolutely.
They're a ska punk band.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So yes. So that's I wanted to be the one to share that beer news, Ron, and thank you for allowing me to do that. As maybe an employee, maybe not an employee. I don't know. Of Big Storm. Those are articles. I was reading that from Fox 13. Just Google it, and you can draw your own conclusions of whatnot. All of this is alleged. These lawsuits are alleged. They have not been tried out in court and due process. So it could all be fine. 4 of the tap rooms are closed. The only remaining one is still in Clearwater.
All right, Ron, does that move us to? Do you have any beer news that's fit? All the news is fit to drink.
Well, hold on. We got to open their beer first.
I do. Oh, sorry. You got your
one
Big Storm
last
beer.
crack.
Sorry. Well, you know what,
The can.
Ferris, if I'd known you were doing this, I'd have grabbed. You gave me one. I still haven't cracked open. It was a high alcohol content one in a bottle. I was letting it age.
Oh, is that the Abbott and the Christmas one?
It might be, yeah. Or is it the hurricane named one with the rum?
Oh,
it's the
Huracan?
Yeah.
What the hell was it? I don't remember.
It's like the stout with the rum or whatever. It's high alcohol. I've held into that one.
Yeah.
Crack open later.
All right. Again, I don't even know what it is. An American IPA. I think it's like 6%. So there you go. There's like some malts. There's some hops. There's some fruit. There's some beer.
There's stuff in it that makes beer.
Yeah.
There's things in it. Makes a beer. How's it, gents?
Oh, that is quite good.
I tell you what.
That is quite good.
IPAs is something that Joel, the head brewer there, can absolutely do, and why Bromosa ended up being
right
the top selling beer and came this kind of series.
Yeah, this is a very Bromosa
quite
style beer. It's got a little more floral notes to it than a Bromosa does. Still a bit of citrus in there, but quite a good flavor.
Kind of just a classic IPA with just a little bit more Florida sun and citrus to it.
Gotcha. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to go through this part pretty fast because we're a little over on time. But the 2024 U.S. Open Beer Championship happened last week. The biggest competition in North America that is not associated with any brewers associations. Breweries from Hawaii to the rocky coast of Portland, Maine, sent more than 9,000 beers representing 170 different beer styles to the 2024 U.S. Open Beer Championship. So yesterday, July 9th, they announced the winners. The U.S. Open judging was held at the U.S. Open Event Center in Oxford, Ohio. No clue where that is. The U.S. Open became the first beer competition to be held in its own 6,000 square foot Amish pole barn venue.
Let's go.
You gotta love that. The barn consists of a judging area, serving areas, 2 450 square foot coolers, offices, nano breweries, and we'll post a link because they have a YouTube video all about their 15th anniversary, and you can see the barn. It's
cool.
It's quite nice. So, gentlemen, Third Eye Brewing of Hamilton, Ohio was awarded the Grand National Champion, winning 4 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and 2 bronze medals. Their gold medal winners included High Consciousness, Double Astral, Dark Aura, and Inner Sight. This Third Eye Brewing has been known for some very style-defining beers, and they've been consistently winning, most notably when we reported on the 2023 Great American Beer Festival, they were the Brewery of the Year.
Oh, right. That's why it sounded so familiar to me.
Yep. So they were the grand winners. The U.S. Open Beer Championship judges more. Ooh, my computer just went nuts. Sorry. The U.S. Open Beer Championship judges more beer styles than any other competition in the world. It's also the only major beer competition in the world to allow gold medal beer winners from the AHA. So the American
AHA RP.
the American Homebrew Association. So if you've won gold medals from the national homebrew competitions, you can enter this. Whereas the Great American Beer Festival, you cannot because you're not part of an officially established brewery. This year, 3 homebrewers won medals, which ties the U.S. Open record. A big congratulations go out to Chris Burgess from Castle Rock, Colorado for winning a gold medal, Lucas Orr from San Diego, California for winning gold medals, and Mark Kunzelman from St. Louis, Missouri for winning bronze in his Belgian Pale Ale. So here are the top 10 winning breweries. Third Eye Brewing is 1. They're in Ohio. Monday Night Brewing from Georgia is in 2nd place. 3rd place, Sun King Brewery from Indiana. 4th place, Oso Brewery in Arizona. 5th is Cherry Street Brew Pub in Georgia. Number 6, Urban Artifact from Ohio. We've had an Urban Artifact beer on the pod. Boulevard Brewing Company from Missouri. We've had them. Feather Falls Brewing from California. Toppling Goliath Brewing Company in Ohio. We've had 1 beer from those folks. Sonder Brewing in Ohio, and Bergen Beer Company in California. A few quick notable breweries under specialty pale ale. Idle Hounds Brewing from South Florida won silver.
From what did you say? What the brewery was?
Yeah, it was Idle Hounds Brewing.
Idle Hounds. Okay.
Yep. A Tampa Bay Brewing Company won silver for their American style IPA.
And yet Big Storm decided to have a tap room above them. Go ahead.
A brewery that Blake and I have both had numbers of beers from them. Appalachian Mountain Brewing Company.
Oh, yeah.
They won bronze for their session IPA called Low and Hazy. Another really good brewery that we have a lot when we go to soccer matches here, Wicked Weed Brewing Company, won silver for their fruited IPA. One of Ferris's District of Columbia breweries, when he went to the Spy Museum and
Washington, D.C.,
yeah. Atlas Beer Works won bronze for their Silent Neighbor Foreign Stout.
You know what? That's that right there. I had one while I was there, and I thought I untapped it. I guess I didn't. I might have put it up on our socials, but yeah, in the Navy Yard area, getting off the train and on the way to Audi Field, but also it's right down the main stretch that leads to where the Nationals ballpark is. Lovely brewing, lovely brewery, had a good pizza and beer combo. That was great. But yeah, no, I had that Silent Neighbor, and it was darn good.
Well, it's won a bronze medal.
Heck yeah.
Another bronze medal for a Ferris-loved brewery, Boegan's Beer Company here in Florida, won for their 7-layer stout.
Yes, darn good stout. Pretty much on tap year-round there. Well done, team.
A really good Orlando brewery, Ivanhoe Park, won 2 bronze medals, one for their Masquerade Golden Stout and one for their Toboggan Golden Ale.
That's been around for a bit.
Boegan's also won for their American Barley Wine. They won gold for Theogens.
I don't think I've had that yet.
Let's see. Trying to rip through a few others. There's a bunch. Meddlesome Brewing Company in Tennessee won for their German-style Marzen called Ska-toberfest.
That's a great name.
Yeah, right?
The second ska reference on this pod tonight.
Yep. One of Ferris's most favorite styles of beer, Mexican lager.
Let's go.
Feather Falls Brewing Company won gold for their Orveza.
Where are they at?
They're in California.
Okay.
And then one of my favorite styles, the Vienna Lager, Hop District Brewing Company, Community Brewing in Illinois won gold for the beer called World Class.
It's cool, man. Looking through this list
awesome.
is great. I found their website and seeing Ivanhoe Park and different places that we know and recognize is pretty rad. Looking through this list,
yeah, I mean the list is quite massive.
Yeah.
I went through all of it to pull stuff out. You can go to usopenbeer.com and you can check out the entire list. But really, really cool to see a bunch of these breweries that we've had. I have a whole bunch of other ones listed off, like 1886 Brewing, which we've had a couple of beers of theirs on the pod. They won silver and they won a gold for their Imperial Red. But it's cool to see all these different breweries that we've either been to or had on the pod.
They even have 2 competitions for root beer, one for adults and one for kids brewing. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's your beer news for today.
Love it. All the news that's fit to drink as we blow back in the halftime whistle to get us to the La Liga's roundup. All right, Ferris. I think we gotta burn through these, but the first one is good news.
How about our pride?
Booyah!
What a season so far. The only undefeated team at the Olympic break. The only. And you know how they did it? They beat the only other undefeated team up until Saturday.
Huge.
And in Kansas, Kansas City Current, they beat them 2-1 on the road in Kansas City, that brand new stadium, and a person down in the first half. Oh, and by the way, that's where the NWSL Finals is going to be played this November. So are we seeing a preview to the final? Possibly. But Pride, only undefeated team, person down. They once again went ahead. The Golden Boot race was in full stride as our Golden Boot favorite, Barbara Banda, who had only like 12 games, has notched like 12 goals. But then Chawinga, after there was a send-off actually that was before the send-off, tied it up 1-1 in a beautiful run by her. And I think they're both on 12 goals and lead and are tied for Golden Boot, if I'm not mistaken. And then in the second half, a calm as you like, right down the center, Panenka-esque style goal by who other than Marta.
Crushed it.
Just
a beautiful curling.
Just right down the center, though. It was a bad foul by goalie Adriana Franch, and it was kind of just a careless type. I don't say careless, but it was just it was just a foul that didn't need to occur. But nonetheless, she buried it 2-1, and the Pride are the only undefeated team in all of the league, and they are top of the table by 3 points over Kansas City Current going into this Olympic break.
How long is the Olympic break?
They go into this like Leagues Cup thing in July.
Right.
So they'll play a few matches there, but then I think it goes until mid-August. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay, so the rest of the table, and all of these teams won this past week. So from 3 through 7, all of them won their last game. The Spirit, under a new coach, came over from Barcelona. He was always supposed to be the coach. Was it Barcelona, Real Madrid? One of those teams of their leagues has come over. I can't remember his name offhand, but he got a nice win on his debut as head coach, 3-0 over AFC. In fourth, Gotham, they won 2-1 over Angel City on the road. Portland Thorns also won 1-0 over San Diego Wave. Casey Stoney no longer with the Wave. Kind of a interesting sacking a week or so back after she just signed an extension. It came off a wonderful year last year. Kind of an odd signing, but Casey Stoney no longer with the Wave. North Carolina Courage, 3 wins on the bounce, 4 in a row undefeated, 3-1 over Racing Louisville. They're in 6th place, 7th place, Chicago Red Stars. Mal Swanson, she's something special, isn't she?
Awesome.
My God. She is just a brilliant player. But her and her Red Stars are in 7th. Bay FC up there as they drop points, obviously, to the Spirit, who I just named, but they are in that final playoff place right now in 8th place on 18 points. 9th through 14th, Racing Louisville, San Diego Wave. Bit surprising to see them down there. They have not won in at least the past 5 games, but I think it goes a little bit further back than that. They're only on 15 points, tied with the California, one of the other teams in Angel City, also on 15 points in 11th place. Houston Dash earned 12th on 14 points. And Seattle Reign, 11 points in 13th. And then Utah Royals, who first year, they also sacked their club legend and Amy Rodriguez. They sacked her after, I want to say it was their draw to Portland is when she got sacked. Not her 6-0 drubbing by the Pride here. It was the next game. It was a 0-0 draw. We've made our decision now. But Amy Rodriguez out, and Utah Royals are in last, 14th place, on only 9 points with a -20 goal difference. Can't wait for the league to resume. I almost wish it was not a break.
August 23rd.
August 23rd. So the end of August. But I'm like, man, I want them to keep playing.
Yeah, because we're on a quite the hot streak.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's tough it's tough to stop right now. It feels like starting over.
Yeah, absolutely. That takes us to the men's league here in the good old US of A. As I'll quickly just kind of go through these. Orlando coming off a very good win, 5-0. They won the past few here. They are in a playoff spot as it sits right now.
I would say
to them,
they are very lucky.
The
clubs under them are not doing well.
Correct.
Yeah,
but
Atlanta, Toronto, Nashville.
Correct. But we beat Toronto. in Toronto.
Yeah.
Their goal differential is negative 13. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm not knocking it, but
we need to pile in all 5 on Saturday. We need to get that back a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're picking up points in the summer, and that's what you need in this league. So here's how the Eastern Conference sits right now after essentially halfway, basically match week 22. FC Cincinnati came off a big win against Inter Miami, and they now are top of the Western Conference. And if I'm not mistaken, are the Shield leaders on 48 points. Miami's behind them in second on 47 points. Columbus in third on 39 points. New York Red Bulls in fourth on 36 points. And the other New York team in fifth who beat us 2 weeks ago.
We play them next week.
And we play them the 20th. Yep.
Yeah.
But they're on 35 points in fifth place. Charlotte up there, 32 points in sixth place. And then Orlando in seventh on 27 points. And that is your like playoffs. Then you have your like play-in games, and that's held by Nashville, who always seem to be right there on the cusp almost every year. They're on 26 points in eighth. And Toronto on 24 points. I believe still coached by John Herman, former Canada men's national team. So then you have Atlanta, who just lost Thiago Amada to Botafogo, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a big loss for them. They're on 24 points, 11th, Montreal, 12th, New England, Chicago, 13th, Philadelphia, 14, and DC, who we just beat 5-0.
5-0 drubbing.
Yep. It was like 3-0 before they had somebody sent off, so that game wasn't it. But they bring up the East in 15th place, only on 20 points with a minus 17.
They're rich.
Difference. That's not the worst though. New England somehow is in 12th, and they have a minus 18, but they have 2 more points. So still a long year into summer. That's your East. In the West, it's LAFC, 43 points. But right behind them, Real Salt Lake also on 43 points, and the LA Galaxy also on 43 points. That's your 1 through 3. My Colorado Rapids, baby, 37 points in fourth. Portland, Vancouver, and Seattle all in playoff places at the moment, 33, 32, and 31 points respectively. And then your Houston and Austin are in those playing games in 8th and 9th on 30 points apiece. Then below them, 10th through 14th, you have Minnesota, Dallas, St. Louis, Kansas City, and once again, San Jose down there in the bottom of the West. They keep playing. They keep playing. We're getting into the Leagues Cup here soon that Apple introduced last year.
Yeah, the highly contentious Leagues Cup.
Which I have not bought tickets for.
I haven't either. I don't have time to go.
I just don't think I'm going to go to those games. I don't necessarily. The Lamar Hunt, we went on about it, but just that should be the cup that we should be playing in.
What apps? Amen to that.
Okay, so a different side of American soccer. The Olympics are coming up, gentlemen.
Yes.
How excited are you?
Awesome.
Let's do it.
And first test of Emma Hayes.
Yes, indeed. And remember, the women's can bring anybody they want, any age, any experience, anybody they want. The men have to bring only under 23 players, and then they're allowed 2 or 3 over 23 players. So first up, let's go over Emma Hayes, as she named a roster, which is a stout roster, but caused some headlines because there is a name that is a big miss, and this person has not missed a tournament for the U.S. in like 37 years. It's something wild like that. Yeah. But goalkeepers, only 2 of them. Alyssa Nair from Chicago Red Stars and Casey Murphy, North Carolina Courage. No surprise there. Defenders, Tiara Davison, Emily Fox, Naomi Girma, Casey Kruger, Jenna Neiswanger, and Emily Sonnet. Not the biggest surprise, but that Sonnet is in there is a little bit interesting because there are a few other defenders that should have had a shout. But nonetheless, she's in there. Midfielders, Corbin Albert, Sam Coffey, Tucked in Goddess, Enzi Haran, Rose Lavelle, and Kat Macario. Not too much of a surprise there. They have all featured in Emma Hayes' midfield since she got on board. Kat Macario kind of reintroduced to the U.S. women's team and was on there before a couple of bad injuries, but Hayes knows her from Chelsea. Your forwards, There's a name that is missing here. Crystal Dunn, Trinity Rodman, Jaden Shaw, Sophia Smith, Mallory Swanson. Gentlemen, who did I not name?
The lady who's been leading the line for quite some time.
74 years.
Alex Morgan. Omitted.
Made the 2 games prior under Hayes, but now in fairness, Morgan's not quite the player that she has been. She's more of a opening up space provider, making runs to pull players. She's not really having the best season for the Wave. Yeah, she dealt with a little bit of injury here, but still in shape. Still a fantastic player, but you're definitely looking at the younger line here with the Smith, Swanson, Shaw, and Trinity Rodman.
She put out a very classy statement too about not being on the team this go round.
Yes, she did. Dunn listed as a forward. Yeah, she showed that for Hayes, and she has been in her career. But you might see her play a little bit of midfield. You could even see her play a little bit of that wing back role as defender. Alternatives: Jane Campbell, no surprise there. Midfield, a little bit how Hurst felt, which is interesting. She's had a great first season for the Washington Spirit in midfield. And the other midfielder, Cross Bethune, another Washington Spirit who's been absolutely probably the rookie of the year for the league, is having herself a fantastic season, is an alternate. And then veteran forward Lynn Williams is your 4 alternates. So all in all, not
too many surprises.
Yeah.
A pretty well balanced team, and one that's clearly looking to the future of the attack, right? You have midfielders. You've got Haran, who's a anchoring veteran, helps on the attack. Rose Lavelle, good on the attack, but can anchor that midfield. But that entire forward section, it's clear she's looking for what's the future for U.S. women's national team from the attacking standpoint.
Absolutely. And one of those big names in defense where, I said Emily Sonnet, an equally surprising name, not on there. Becky Sauerbrunn, not in defense there. Kind of the first time for her in ages as well. So an interesting lineup, but yeah, Ron, to your point, that younger gen, that kind of next group up type of thing, is interesting. It's a strong squad, very, very strong squad. And the Olympics, as the U.S. know, finished silver and bronze in the past few tournaments.
Yep.
It's tough. It's just as tough as the World Cup and as any other tournament that they play. And they play some very stiff, competition. Excuse me. And we saw that in the World Cup as the rest of the world is catching up. If not, they've already caught up to the standard of what the U.S. puts out there on the field.
And judging by the last World Cup, they have surpassed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, moving over to the men real quick. Head coach Marko Mitrovic. No, Greg Berhalter would not have been the coach anyways. This is a completely different team that announces this and names the team. So it's not
under 23s.
Under 23, essentially, with a couple of older age players. I think they have 3. And those 3 older are pretty much defenders. It's Miles Robinson and Walker Zimmerman are 2 of your 3, and then midfielder Georgi Mihalovic are your 3 overage players for this tournament. Georgi Mihalovic, kind of not surprising, but kind of a Swiss Army knife there in the midfield and can do a lot. The rest of your team, goalkeepers, Patrick Schulte of the Columbus Crew, and Gaga Slovenia, the Chelsea backup that got a couple of games for them. So some strong young goalies for them. Gaga will probably get the start, but I wouldn't be surprised if Schulte gets a game or 2. Defenders, some of these names you would not have heard. Some of them are playing in Germany. Some are playing here in the U.S. One's even near my hometown of mine, in Oldsmar, Florida. It's in the old Pinellas County. But Maximiliano Dietz, he's playing for Frankfurt right now in Germany. Nathan Harrell is playing for the Philadelphia Union. He's from Oldsmar. Miles Robertson and Walker Zimmerman, as I said, are your 2 overs. John Tolkien of the New York Red Bulls, a good back, a good scoring back. And Caleb Wiley of Atlanta United. So some names that are probably familiar, and they've all, on full squads, have gotten call-ups. In midfield, Gianluca Buzio returned from him, playing over in Italy. Benjamin I'm going to butcher Kramaski playing for Inter Miami. We have not seen a whole lot of him. We've seen him for Inter, but we have not seen him for the U.S. too much. Jack McGlynn of the Philadelphia Union gets a call-up. Georgi Mihalovic, as I said, and Tanner Tessman of Venezia as well. So a strong midfield, and we'll see how they fare and how they connect and how they kind of move the ball forward while also trying to protect that back line. Forwards, Paxton Eriksson, not a surprise. He's playing over in Germany. Aronson, thank you. Taylor Booth, who's playing over in the Netherlands. Kevin Paredes, who's playing for Wolfsburg. Griffin Yao, we haven't seen a whole lot of, and is playing in Belgium right now. And then our very own Duncan Maguire.
Yes.
Leading the lines for forwards. Alternatives, you have 4 as well. You have Josh Antisio, he's playing for the Seattle Sounders. Jacob Davis, defender for Sporting KC. Joan Gomez, forward for
Braunschweig,
Germany. And John Pulskamp, goalkeeper for Sporting KC. So some names there you haven't probably heard of, but you'll get to see as the men's Olympic tournament is an interesting one, as all these teams, all these clubs, all these nations have to field the very similar thing of an under 23 with only 3 alternates. You're probably not going to see your Ronaldos and your Messis and those type of things. And you have to qualify to get into this. So not every team also made this tournament. So keep an eye out. The summer of soccer continues as we have the Olympics and the U.S. teams going forward. And the MLS is the league that just keeps on chugging through the summer as League Cup games are carrying on and MLS games.
July 26th is the start of the Olympics.
Around the corner.
Run.
I love
and
Olympics, man.
We'll have
exactly. Who doesn't?
We'll have what? Just 15 days.
Yeah.
Between the end of these tournaments and the start of
exactly
the old Olympics.
And plus,
it gives you a 2 weeks chance to catch your breath.
It's just the Olympics in general, man. All the cool storylines that pop out, random sports that you never would have cared about, and the debut of breakdancing sport, y'all.
Yep.
And we have somebody here from Kissimmee that's a part of that team.
Yeah,
very,
part of
very
the
Of
US team.
course you do. Of course you do. That's great. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, that has been your American La Liga's Roundup.
Boom. We've run a little long, so I'll run this thing on home. Our beer mentions for the pod. I had an Allagash Curio. Blake don't speak no French. A delicious triple that was bourbon barrel aged.
From Charo Brewing, we had their Pilsner. That's the brewery started by a former Holy Roman Empire or emperor. And then we had a golden ale, which was okay, I guess.
Yeah.
From Cerveza Clara, the Aliande.
And then from Big Storm, Brojo Dojo, an American IPA.
What a great name.
And be sure to Google if you want to investigate a little bit more on that. There are plenty of articles on the old interwebs.
Ferris, do you have us a Zlatan quote?
Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Ooh, one side of the page has all 3 checked off. The other side of the page does not. Zlatan explains who the better side is before Sweden's World Cup playoff match against Portugal. We finished second in our group behind Germany, the best team in Europe. They, Portugal, finished second in a group they should have won. I think we deserve more to go to Brazil. I'll double down because that was kind of a weak quote from him. Zlatan, 35, compares himself to a movie character who ages in reverse. I'm getting better and better. Like I said, I feel like Benjamin Button. I was born old, and I will die young.
That's a perfect one.
Yes.
And gentlemen, this is the first time Page 52 and 53, all quotes have been checked.
All checked.
Congratulations.
Man, we're going to have to get another. We got to find another book for you for Christmas. Follow us on thebrutalgame.com, on the interwebs. Follow us on Untapped, especially X, Twitter, whatever sucks now. So I don't know. You reach out. I follow if you want. But Facebook, where have you? You can find us. Untapped's the most fun place because you got all our beers. Leave a rating and review if you can, and tell your friends all about us, especially your grandma. We're trying to increase grandmas and great aunts into our quotient of deliverables for our CEO who runs this. So it's the
Who doesn't like a pod that does?
Exactly. All right, gents. I don't know if you've heard in the news, and not to get political, things are weird in the U.S. We keep thinking they're going to get back to normal,
right.
whatever normal is, and they just get weirder and weirder. So, I don't know if you heard, but a couple of NASA, or folks at NASA, have kind of gone rogue a little bit and launched a satellite without permission that is launching out basically an apology to any aliens, to any kind of saying sorry to any aliens or higher beings that might be listening to all the craziness going on Earth. It is officially, though it was an unofficially launched, NASA has officially called it Apollo G.
Nice.
There you go. You're welcome. And with that, we shall end the pod. Love the beer, cherish the game, the brutal game.
Alex Morgan for president.
Amen.
Please.